Good day everyone. Today, we will be talking about the stages of psychosocial development theory of Erikson. So, who was Erik Erikson? Was he a Dane, a German, or an American? Jew or Gentile? He spent nearly a lifetime trying to determine who he was. As a child, Erik Salomonsen had many questions, but few answers about his biological father. He knew who his mother was, a beautiful Jewish Dane whose family tried hard to appear Danish rather than Jewish. But who was his father? Erikson was born in a single-parent family. The young boy held three separate beliefs regarding his origin. At first, he believed that his mother's husband, a physician named Theodor Homburger, was his biological father. However, as Erik matured, he began to realize that this was incorrect because his blonde hair and blue eyes did not match the dark features of either parents. He pressed his mother for an explanation, but she lied to him and said that a man named Valdemar Solomonsen, her first husband, was his biological father, and that he abandoned her after she became pregnant with Erik. However, Erik didn't quite believe the second story either, because he learned that Solomonsen had left his mother 4 years before Erik was born. Finally, Erik chose to believe that he was the outcome of a sexual liaison between his mother and an artistically gifted aristocratic Dane. For nearly the remainder of his life, Erik believed this third story. Nevertheless, he continued to search for his own identity, while seeking the name of his biological father. And during his school days, Erik's Scandinavian features contributed to his identity confusion. When he attended temple, his blue eyes and blonde hair made him appear to be an outsider. At public school, his Iron classmates referred to him as a Jew, so Erik felt out of place in both areas. Throughout his life, he had difficulty accepting himself as either a Jew or as a Gentile. But finally, more than after 30 years later, and his mind and body began to deteriorate, Erik lost interest in learning his father's name. However, he continued to show identity confusion. For example, he spoke mostly in German, the language of his youth, and rarely spoke English, his primary language, for more than 60 years. And in addition to that, he retained a long-held affinity for Denmark and the Danish people, and took perverted pride in displaying the flag of Denmark, a country in which he never lived. Erik Homburger Erikson was born on June 15, 1902 in southern Germany and died on May 12, 1994. And Erikson received a letter from his friend Peter Bloss inviting him to teach children in Vienna, where he met Anna Freud, who became his employer and psychoanalyst. And with Anna Freud's permission, he married Joanne Surson, a Canadian-born dancer, artist, and teacher who had also undergone psychoanalysis. And they had 4 children. Kai and Sue pursued professional careers, but John shared his father's experience as a wandering artist, while Neil was born with a Down syndrome. Erikson coined the term the identity crisis. He suggested that each stage of psychosocial struggle contributes to the formation of personality, and Erikson's theory was greatly influenced by the work of Sigmund Freud, but extended the theory by incorporating cultural and social aspects in Freud's sexually oriented theory. The stages of psychosocial development. First, growth takes place according to the epigenetic principle. Second, in every stage of life, there is an interaction of opposites. That is a conflict between a syntonic element and a dystonic element. For example, during infancy, basic trust is opposed to basic mistrust. Third, at each stage, the conflict between the dystonic and syntonic elements produces an ego quality or ego strength, which Erikson referred to as a basic strength. Fourth, too little basic strength at any one stage result in a core pathology for that age. Fifth, although Erikson referred to his 8 stages as psychosocial stages, he never lost sight of the biological aspects of the human development. 6. Events in earlier stages do not cause later personality development. Ego identity is shaped by a multiplicity of conflicts and events, past, present, and anticipated. Seventh, during each stage, but especially from adolescence forward, personality development is characterized by identity crisis, which Erikson called a turning point, a crucial period of increased vulnerability and heightened potential. Psychodynamic Erikson's psychosocial theory. So for the first stage is we have the infancy. Infancy is marked by the oral sensory psychosocial mode, the psychosocial crisis of basic trust versus basic mistrust, and the basic strength of hope. In this stage, infants develop a sense of familiarity due to his mother or caregiver who is constantly providing him or her food regularly. In that case, they began to learn the basic trust. And in contrary with that, if the mother reject or harm the child and don't satisfy the needs, the infant will develop mistrust. He will also be suspicious around people. Next is the stage 2, the early childhood. In this stage, children learn to control their body, especially in relation to the cleanliness and mobility. But it is also the time of contradiction and stubborn rebellion and meek compliance. If early childhood is a time for self-expression and autonomy, then it is also a time for shame and doubt. Autonomy grows out in basic trust, while shame is a feeling of self-consciousness of being looked at and exposed. Next is the stage 3, the play age. Children at this age begin to adopt initiative in their selection and pursuit of goals. Many goals such as marrying their mother or father or leaving home must be either repressed or delayed. The consequences of these taboo and inhibited goals is guilt. And at this age, children can set goals and pursue them with a purpose. And this stage also becomes the cornerstone of morality. Next is the stage 4. At this stage, the child is now capable as never before of imagining a future situation, and their social world is expanding beyond family to include peers, teachers, and other adult models, and they wish to become strong and try to be their basic striving for competence. At this stage, they develop a sense of industry, but if their work is insufficient to accomplish their goals, they acquire a sense of inferiority. Next, for the adolescents, at this stage, children develops the identity crisis and the role confusion. In adolescence period, it is also the time of establishing their own standards of conduct, and they no longer need the guidance of their parents. The identity crisis may last for many years and can result in either a greater or lesser ego strength. For the stage 6 of the psychosocial development, which is for the young adulthood, this is the stage of acquisition of intimacy at the beginning of the stage and the development of generativity at the end. Intimacy versus the isolation, the ability to fuse one's identity with that of another person without fear of losing it. Intimacy, this is the ability to fuse one's identity with that of another person with a fear of losing it. And a counterpart to the intimacy is the isolation, which was defined as the incapacity to take chances with one's identity by sharing through intimacy. Next is the stage 7, which is the adulthood. It is the time when people begin to take their place in society and assume responsibility to what the society produces. The generation of new beings as well as the new products and new ideas. This stage was concerned with establishing and guiding the next generation, includes the procreation of children, the production of work, and the creation of new things and ideas that contribute to the building of a better world. And lastly, for the stage 8, or the old age. This stage centers around ego, integrity, and despair. At the end of life, the dystonic quality of despair may prevail, but for people with a strong ego identity, who have learned intimacy and who have taken care of both people and things, the syntonic quality of integrity will predominate. And that is all for the psychosocial development theory of Erikson. This is the end of our discussion, and goodbye and God bless.